Welcome back to Let's Break the Silence with Angeline. And guess what? Today is a very special episode because this is episode 201, seventh season. And I can tell you this, after celebrating 200 episodes of powerful stories, courageous conversations, and people choosing to use their voice, I kept thinking about one question: what happens next? And maybe that's a question you've been asking yourself too. What happens when life changes, when the career shifts, when the relationship ends, when the dream you had for your life no longer looks the way that you imagined or visualized? Do you believe it's too late to begin again? Of course, this actually be your invitation to reinvent yourself. Okay, so my guest today is living proof that purpose does not have an expiration date. And I've had the pleasure of meeting Terry. Terry
Yoffe.
Yoffe is a three-time certified international business and communications coach with more than 20 years of experience in the corporate and entrepreneurial worlds. At 83 years young, Terry continues to challenge limiting beliefs, break through the stories that keep people stuck, and help others reset their mindset so they can create greater fulfillment and success in life and business. So, without further ado, I am welcoming Terry Yoffe all the way from
New York City,
New York City, the city that never sleeps, right?
the city that never sleeps. I
I
do, but
know.
the city doesn't.
That's right. The city never sleeps, everyone. And I had the pleasure of meeting Terry last year in December at the New York City Mastermind event. And I love New York City. I love the energy there. And here we are. I'm in Florida. So, anyways, I am so happy you are here with us, Terry. You're going to be sharing your story and your passion. So let me just ask you really quickly. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Um, what you opened with, what happens when, right? The life you imagine doesn't happen.
Right.
The relationship you hoped would work out doesn't. When jobs go away, you get fired.
Mm,
All that happened to me. And the one thing I learned was I didn't have time for a pity party.
okay. I love that.
Um, a a relation. So I grew up never feeling worthy, never feeling loved, never feeling valued. So when but that wasn't the case. It was a limiting belief because my parents worked. So as a child, I looked at it as if they were abandoning us,
Wow.
um, which wasn't the case. But a child looks out and doesn't know. So these are beliefs that you take to heart. And I had my first real boyfriend in my 20s.
Mm,
And we were going to get married. And he broke off the wedding. And I something I should have realized back then was I picked myself up and I went to Europe for the summer.
wow. I love
I
that.
didn't put that into play until probably years later, but I spent my 20s chasing someone because if he loved me, that meant I was loved.
There you go. There you go.
And I finally put myself into analysis.
Mm.
because I was extremely depressed, although I could not name it,
Right.
and spent 7 years in analysis 3 times a week to back. They don't do that today, I don't think, but back then I did that. I committed to that. That was my first, I think, real commitment,
Okay.
was to finding out about me. And I did. And I learned so much about myself. And as I dug deeper, I started to let go of those limiting beliefs because they were not true.
Right. It's the lies that we tell ourselves.
Right, right.
Okay.
And well, we don't know that they're lies. We
Mm.
just don't know what they are, right?
Right.
Um, and what I will tell anybody is, if something doesn't work out, it's for a reason. Totally. That relationship would never have worked out, never, because he lived in another city and I would never have gone for analysis. I never would have grown. I never would have spread my wings.
Right.
So, and I got fired many times, and I lived alone. So it was like, okay, I didn't have time to feel sorry for myself. But
Right. There you go.
what I found was, the more I was willing to push through, the more doors opened.
Mm.
And I did whatever it took, except being a streetwalker, to to get money to
Right.
pay for my rent. And however else, I was living alone. And life works out if you're willing to do the hard work, meaning finding out about yourself. Because I realized that in analysis, the one thing that shifted for me was when I said to the doctor, "How come you don't tell me what to do?" And he said, "If I tell you what to do this time, you won't know what to do next time." And what I realized at that moment, no one was coming to save me and no one was coming to help me. I had to do the work myself. If
There you
I
go.
wanted to heal, I had to do the work. I had to put in the work. And I did. And it was very painful. I spent years crying. I spent years screaming. And I came out of it somewhat healed. What I did the years following was a lot of different modalities to help me the rest of the way.
Right.
But I developed courage. I developed discipline. I
Mm.
developed a desire that I was going to get what I wanted, no matter what it took. And
There
I did. So, yes, is it painful to look at yourself? Is it painful to think about looking at yourself? But nothing happens out there. It
Okay.
only happens inside.
There you go. There
And
you go.
it's turning your eyes inward to find out where you're out of alignment.
Okay, and I totally agree with you. Absolutely. So I want to expand on the stories that we tell ourselves. And what are some of the most common stories you hear people, your clients telling themselves?
And it doesn't matter where the client is on the Richter scale of their profession,
Ah,
because I coach primarily high achieving business professionals.
okay.
And they are not different than anyone else. They're not excused because of their positions from having these emotions. I coach a client now who's very successful. He has been sabotaging himself for
Mm,
years.
mm.
So people come with their own holes,
There you
their
go.
brokenness, or their self-fulfilling prophecies,
Okay.
which mean somewhere as a young person, if something happens like with me, oh, I don't feel worthy. So they're going to set their life up not to be worthy or valued
Right.
or
Right.
loved. It's just the way the mind works. And therefore, even though they become highly successful, they still have that nagging sense that they could have $20 million in the bank and not feel fulfilled or worthy.
I believe that.
So it's really a question of doing the hard work, which is looking inward and turning your eyes inward to start to look at the the stories we tell ourselves.
There you go.
Um, and today, if I would look back on that young person in
Hmm.
100 million years, there was a part of me that felt I could never become who I want to become. And yet
Right.
there was another part of me that had an image of who I wanted to become.
See that?
And that one, that one, not the person who didn't feel loved or any of that.
Exactly. 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 And for this client, how were they able to break through that limiting belief? What were some of the tech? So we talk about turning inward. Yes, and I totally agree. And that's what I help my clients with too. So can you expand on that, please, for
Yeah.
the listeners?
So what we started to look at was the root of
Mm,
the sabotage. And part of it was how he grew up,
okay.
which set that in motion.
There you go.
And because he sabotaged himself, he always felt that he was going to get fired. So he set up his life to get fired.
There you go. There you go. Our thoughts create our reality.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And I am so proud of him because he went to a meeting and we strategized the meeting on how he should show up,
Mm,
not to sabotage himself. And he came back to me and said, which makes a coach feel really good. Your coaching was spot on.
see
And there
that?
were times I wanted to talk about some other person and air my grievances, and I kept my mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
And the meeting went so well because I did not sabotage myself.
That's great. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. I love that. I want to ask you this, resetting your mindset, because a lot of women are talking about this now, like the stories that women carry after difficult seasons. So when someone realizes their mindset is keeping them stuck, where do they begin?
So, what people will do is they will listen to gurus, they will go to books, they will even go to AI. I had someone tell me they did their therapy through AI. which blew me away.
Right. I hear you. I hear you.
And obviously go to a coach. Go, go to somebody
Right.
that understands what they might be going through. And A, I mean, for someone like me, I won't work with someone unless they're willing to do the work.
Exactly. Exactly.
Be- because people want easy. They want easy. They want to wave a magic wand and oops, I'm better. However,
Work that way.
doesn't work that way. Yeah.
They want instant
So
gratification.
exactly,
And you
exactly.
will not get that through AI.
No,
Okay.
no,
Well,
no.
work with a coach, work with a mentor like
Right,
myself. Had clients in the past. They, based on my life experience, they hired me because
right,
they wanted to do the work. I will not take on someone who's not going to do the work.
right. I agree. And
Yeah.
being 83 years old, I have experienced probably most. I've never been divorced. I am married 43 years. Um,
Blessing.
however, when it comes to a lot of the internal chaos,
Mm.
the traumas, the issues, um, I've been there. I just put a post up about my mother being a narcissist and living with that and what that did for me. I was totally vulnerable in putting that up.
Oh, sure.
Um, and we all have trauma. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be a major, but
Right.
trauma stops us dead in our tracks.
That's
We
true.
don't go there. We don't want to look at it. And I mean, 83, I just did a course on the neuroscience of relational trauma. And it's about victims of narcissists
Okay.
and what happens and how many can't free themselves from the relationship. It takes having them figure out the hold.
Right.
Um, narcissists are in a world by themselves.
Well, tell me about it. I used to be
Yeah,
married to one.
right. And
No,
it's, as
seriously,
you
they
know,
are. They
it's
are.
difficult. And as a child,
Mm. Can you imagine
you're
that?
kind of helpless.
Yeah.
So um, that was part of my learning and my healing. I do believe, and again, one of my beliefs is you're never too old or you're never too late to become who you want to be and do what you want to do. It's a question of a mindset because
Right.
I believe people get to a certain age, let's say 70 or 75. Oh, I'm old. That's immediately what goes through their minds. Or
Okay.
65 and I have to retire. What am I going to do? And it's that mindset that I think statistics show that many people, once they retire, they wind up passing away within 3 years because their purpose for living is really gone,
There you
unless
go.
they do something different.
Right. My parents traveled. They retired from the business and then they traveled for a while. Then my mom unfortunately got sick and then she passed away of cancer 7 years ago. It was 8 years ago. And then my dad passed away a year and a half ago. So
Mm.
I agree when people, you know what I say, like when people retire, they're just, you're right. They do pass, they have no purpose unless
Yeah,
they're traveling, unless they're doing something else. That's
right.
different because they're fulfilling their purpose and they want to travel. And who know, like I know, several women, they do travel. And that's what they do as a passion, and they teach others that they can
Right,
live a purposeful life. And
right,
actually, yeah, I'm 62 years young, far from
right.
retirement anyway, so that's not happening for me. I'm going to keep working and I'm going to keep building my legacy, and things are going to start changing and pivoting so very soon. So
I agree.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That's fabulous because at 60, I started coaching. Started my coaching career at 60 years old. At
Wow,
60.
that's
At
amazing.
78, I started a podcast.
There you go. There you go.
I and people look at me and say, how do you do it? And it's my road of what I did to
Right.
how I got here.
Right. There you
It's
go.
not magic. There's no magic.
There's no magic here. No,
No.
it's putting in the work, everyone. This is not, someone's not going to hand you a silver platter, and
Mm-mm.
it's not happening. It's not happening. So let's talk about career pivots and starting again. Speaking of that, and you've navigated both corporate and entrepreneurial worlds. So what would you say to the women listening right now who knows she needs to pivot, but is terrified to start over because she is afraid maybe of what other people think? Let's talk about that.
If I just say this very bluntly, if
Mm,
I listened to what people said about going into coaching at 60, what are you crazy? Look at the work. And I went for certification,
look
not
at that.
just, and I have gotten several certifications. At 78, I started a podcast. You can imagine what people said. There are so many. Why? Well, I'm in the top 1.5% globally, as per Listen Notes.
Ooh.
And at 83, I just did this very intense course on relational trauma, which I'm going to add to my coaching.
That's
And
great.
it's it it's pivoting can be very scary
Mm,
because we don't know what we're going to pivot into.
right.
I I started my career at 40, my real career in sales. Somebody hired me, I had no sales experience. And an old me would have said, are you crazy? Are you going to go into sales? You'll fail. Are you nuts? I said yes. And in 3 years, I took a territory from 600,000 to 1,400,000.
Wow.
And then I went to a big corporation, media company, worked at 2 magazines, was highly successful. And then I started my own rep company in 97. So I was not a kid and did very well because people knew me. And then when that landscape dried up, had no idea what I was going to do.
Right.
Nothing. And here I was close to 60. And I was going to go back to school and become a therapist because I loved working with the human mind, which was mine, but nobody's
Great.
is any different. And instead, coaching and I found each other. And that's what I was my path. But I had to start at the bottom. People didn't know me as a coach. It took years building websites, joining the International Coach Federation, where in New York I became the president,
Wow.
and working my way up. And I was in my 60s. So, folks, say yes to pivoting
Oh, ooh, that's powerful. Absolutely.
because it doesn't, if that pivot doesn't work, another door or road will open. I started coaching. I had no idea. I was probably the oldest person in the group. I passed my certification.
Mm.
I went for not only a certificate, I went on for a 6 month certification, which was very intense. I was the oldest person in the room. And
For
yet
you.
I, I said yes. Say yes. Don't be afraid. Get over your fears and pivot. And most importantly, open your lens to a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset where you're just looking this way. And the more you're willing to put yourself out there, I promise you, the wider your lens will get
Mhm.
and the pivots will become easier.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I remember, and boy, I'm so glad that we talked about pivoting. That's a skill set. Pivoting is a skill set that you need to master. And Lord knows I have. When I started my podcast 7 years ago, people were like, what?
Right,
Now I have support from family. You see that? They thought, really? I'm like, yeah.
right,
During COVID, yes, I'm starting the podcast. It blew up because everyone was home, but it wasn't coaching at the beginning. It was just to
right.
share my passion,
Mm-hmm,
vision
mm-hmm,
to empower women to share their real life stories.
mm-hmm.
And now it's global, and I am expanding in Greece. And talk about pivoting. I'm going to be making a pivot very soon. So I'm very happy and blessed because, like where I live here in Florida, there's a lot of retired people. It Your environment is everything.
Yes, right. And I live in New York City, but
Okay,
my friends, and I don't have a lot of my age, so they're all retired. They don't get me, but where I have so many connections through the organizations I belong to, you one of them, that I go to events like you talked about. I was
right.
the oldest person there. I know that, but
That didn't matter.
it didn't matter. Didn't matter. I'm speaking. I'm letting people know that they too can become, maybe they don't want to be unstoppable like me, but they don't have to leave their dreams and their desires on the cutting room floor before they move on to another world.
Right.
I
There you
am
go.
not, I am not going to let that happen. Um, and the more open you are, the more vulnerable you are willing to be, the more comes in for you. I
Right.
know vulnerability is a word nobody wants to even address because of what it means,
I know. I'm aware of
but
that.
there's a strength in being vulnerable. There's a
Absolutely.
strength. So if
There
I
is
can,
strength.
yeah,
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
and if I can impart anything today, anything, it's I'm an ordinary person. I did not grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth, just the opposite.
There you go.
Nobody, nobody helped me on my road. Luckily, there were people that were there along the way to help me when I needed it. That's something about the universe
Hmm.
that when you allow yourself to open up and whatever comes in, handle, the universe is always there.
That's right. Oh,
So,
yes.
I mean, look at you, look at me, who's 20 years older than you. Um, and I don't look at age, you
Me
know,
too. And actually, honestly, me too. I don't look at age either. I don't. I don't. Age
and
is just a number.
it is, but to the universe, it's not a number, it's a nothing,
It's a
you
nothing.
know.
Right. Right.
And I go for it. What have you got to lose? You have one life. One life. That's it. Everyone gets to choose the life they want. Everyone.
Thank you.
And if you want to wallow, if you want to, nothing will come. I promise you that. But if you're willing to be brave and courageous, say, okay, I'm going for it, things will open up. They will.
Absolutely. The universe rewards action. So when you
Right.
open
That's
up, the universe will reward action.
right. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I know that you have described your journey as one of resilience and persistence, and talk about resilience and persistence. Wow. See? Was there ever a season when you questioned whether you should keep going?
I definitely think during my analysis days, when the more you dig into who you are, those fears that they come up, I think there was a part of me that probably wanted to give up.
Mhm.
However, who I wanted to become and that image of who I saw was the overriding factor.
Right.
And I was, no matter the heartaches, no matter the issues that I had, I was willing to go through them. Can't go around them. You got to go through them.
You have to go through them.
And,
Exactly.
even today, the things that come up for me that you think, okay, I did all that work. I'm not perfect.
Right. Right.
However, once you start to be on this path, no matter what, the courage, the bravery that you feel, and the authority and the power you start to stand in keeps you going because you become powerful in your own being.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that is so important to take back our power. I gave up my power to my mother, to my emotions, to situations, to people. And there came a time where I had to start taking it back. Even to my husband, there were things that I didn't speak up about. I do now.
There you go. There you
So,
go.
so standing in your power, you own yourself. Nobody owns you.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. No one owns you is right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's when you take your power back. And
right.
I know for years I felt that I lost my power and my
Uh-huh.
identity, and then I took it back by first taking ownership
Right. Right. Of who
and
you
moving
are.
forward. Right, exactly.
You are the most important person on this earth. The most important person, each of us. And if we don't take care of ourselves
Mm.
and you leave it to other people, that does not work because
Oh, it
they're
doesn't work
going
at
to,
all.
right, exactly. So I'm very passionate about becoming who you want to become. And it doesn't happen overnight, but everyone can start that process.
Exactly, exactly. Absolutely, absolutely. There's been seasons in my life that actually were preparing me. So, and that's what's happening right now to me. The This is preparing me for a new season and a new chapter. So, what matters to you now that perhaps didn't matter 30 years ago?
So back then, when I was in advertising sales, I worked really hard because making money was very, very important to me. Very. And my worth and
Mm-hmm.
how I saw myself. And I did. I did phenomenally well. And even up to last year, I was working really hard, because I was feeding an old identity.
Oh,
That person that was, and I got sick, and I spent a lot of months being sick, and I had to step back from everything,
wow.
everything. So, and in realizing I have a new identity. I'm not the person I was 30 years ago. My consciousness has changed.
Mm-hmm.
I've evolved even more. So when we change and we take steps, pivoting to a new career,
Right.
it's about reinventing, not your
Right.
mindset.
There you go.
And
Reinventing your mindset is right.
right, you don't
Absolutely.
invent your body, you invent your mindset, reinvent and evolve.
There you
And
go.
I did not realize how much I have evolved. So I am in a new place, not a new home or a new building,
There you
but
go.
emotionally and mentally, I'm a different person. And with that comes an evolution and a reinvention, and knowing that this person here, this mindset is different. And what I'm looking for today is different than what I did then.
Right. There you go.
So it's tricky, but if we all look at ourselves, I always was reinventing myself, except I didn't know it. Every year I'd have a new look.
Oh yeah.
I would, I
Me too,
changed my
actually.
hair. Yeah, I changed my hair. I
Oh
changed my
yeah.
clothes. I'd have a new look, but I never knew what it was.
Right,
Without
right.
knowing it unconsciously, I was reinventing my mindset.
Ah, there you go. There you go. The power
So,
of reinvention. Mindset
yeah,
is everything.
you're right. It is. What else is there
Right,
except that?
exactly. Right, right. And stepping out of your comfort zone because I can tell
Oh,
you
yeah.
nothing grows from your comfort zone.
No, absolutely.
Absolutely. So let's talk about purpose and legacy. So at 83 years young, okay, what do you feel called to do next? Hmm.
That's still part of what's going on.
Okay.
However, I know being an inspiration to others and telling my story about where I was and where I've come to. How did I do it? And also, so coaching, and my coaching has totally evolved in many ways.
Mm. Tell us about that.
Um, speaking, I'm sorry.
Tell us about that, please.
So I am now mostly coaching very high achieving people.
Mhm.
And I've had to go up here, right? You
Okay,
can't
right.
coach a high level, really high level person if you're down here.
That's
Can't do
true.
it.
Oh, absolutely. My mentor told
Can't
me
do it.
that long time
Oh,
ago. Oh, yeah.
yeah,
He shared that with all of us because I was at a mentorship program.
right,
Oh, yeah. You
right.
can't coach someone. Yeah. You have to be on their level.
Exactly. The
Right.
energy has to
The
match.
energy, right. It's the energy needs to match. There you
Right.
go. There you go.
So that's one of the areas. And letting people know, like here, and I thank you, and I'm so grateful that you allowed me to come into your space today. Really,
My
that
pleasure.
you're never too late or too old, number one. Number two, what I've started working with is master your mind, master your life.
There you go.
So, working with people to start to understand that piece of machinery behind your eyes is there for one reason, to keep you safe.
There
It's
you go.
not there for you to grow and to expand because it sees that as non-safety. So helping people start to become aware of what that piece of machinery tells them
Mm,
versus who they are and becoming really self-aware. Like the client that sabotaged himself. He went into that meeting where his mind wanted him to go to the sabotage.
see?
Instead, he self-aware and self-control. And that was a big win for him,
You see
a
that?
big win.
Big, that's a huge win.
Right.
Yep.
So that that's where, along with letting older people know they don't have to look at their age
Mm,
and close the book. They can start a new chapter.
there you go. There you go.
And so it's really looking at the stories we tell ourselves because they're the same stories, different cast of characters,
Right.
and separating that and starting to look at who they are. And that's what I did in therapy and analysis, looking at all my stories and looking at they were not true. They were just limiting beliefs
Mm,
that made me feel unworthy, unlovable, and not valued.
there you go. There you go.
So, very important. I'm adding that. And the course that I took, starting to work with people who are victims of narcissistic relationships
Oh, see?
and how they can start ex- extracting themselves from those relationships and know that they were victims. They are not who the narcissist told them they were to
Exactly.
keep them, as you know,
Exactly.
as you know.
Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're coming up to the top of the hour right now.
Mm.
One final question is if you could sit across from the younger version of yourself, the
Oh,
woman who may have questioned herself, doubted herself, or wondered what was possible, what would you tell her today?
I wasn't going to let her down. I was going to lead her to becoming everything she wanted. And here I am.
There you
I
go.
am that younger version of myself that chose to not let down my younger self, to do the work. She did the work and I did the work so that we could be here
There,
doing the work together.
there you go. I love it. I love it. And Terry, where can people get in contact with you?
Well, they can go to my website, www.trycoaching.com. I am now adding some things to it. Um, they can they can email me, terry@trycoaching.com also.
Okay.
And I do a complimentary consultation with people to see
Very
if
good.
we're a fit, to see if this is what they want. And I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram.
Got it. And all the links will be in the show notes, everyone.
Oh,
So we
great.
at least, oh yeah, will be. I know I'm a pro at this. So
Thank you.
yes,
Thank you.
so important, you know? So yeah, so thank you, Terry. This was an amazing, powerful conversation. I have goosebumps right now.
Oh,
And
thank you.
so inspiring. And this is so I hope that you're all inspired today by this conversation. Purpose does not have an expiration date. It is never too late. And to all the women who are be listening right now to this podcast episode, maybe you've been telling yourself you're too old, those lies that you are telling yourself, it's too late, or that you've missed your opportunity. But what if that is simply a story you've been carrying? You are allowed to reset. You are allowed to reinvent yourself. You are allowed to change your mind. And you are allowed to step into a new chapter of your life with the wisdom you've gained from every chapter that came before it.
Right.
So remember, you didn't go through all of that to stay silent. Your story matters, your voice matters, and your next chapter may be your most powerful one yet. So until next time, keep breaking the silence. I'll see you on the next episode of Let's Break the Silence with Angeline. Thank you so much, Terry. Please stay in the
Thank
green
you.
room for a few more minutes. And this podcast is coming to a close. Please like and follow and subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple, and all the live streaming platforms you listen to, including our YouTube channel at Let's Break the Silence with Angeline. And have a beautiful day, everyone.